Alright, in this video I'm going to go over some of the hotkeys that I use in my day-to-day life, and if you are interested in this, please continue watching. Welcome back. In this video I'm going to be showing you a lot of things that I plan to cover in more detail in future, but for now, if you just follow the codes I'm going to write in the video, you will be able to do exactly what I do. And plus, you can modify them to fit them into your specific needs if you need to. So now that's out of the way, let's make a start. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to launch a directory on your PC. So I'm just going to give my new hotkey a hashtag ND, which stands for start and D key, and then run a desktop and return this. If I run it and press start and D, it will open up my desktop, and it can be anything else. You can make it so that you can open a particular directory. For example, I've got my downloads folder here, so if I run this now and then launch the hotkey, it's going to open up my downloads folder. Okay, let me just copy that down so I can convert this back into my desktop. So now if I press start W, it will open up my downloads folder. Start D, it will open up my desktop. Next up is how to launch a program such as Notepad. So I'm going to give it a hotkey of start and end key. Now it's the same as opening up a directory, so you just go run comma and then Notepad exe, and that's pretty much it. So if I run it and then press start N, I'll get a Notepad launching. Now let's get out of that. So instead of launching a new Notepad, if you want to activate an already launched Notepad, what you can do is you can go if WinExist untitled Notepad. Now also what I'm also going to do on top is I'm going to set title match mode to 2, and what that basically does is it will allow for partial matches. So if you have a notepad, for instance, and you type something out, notice how the title of the notepad changes to star untitled notepad. By default, WinExist checks for an exact match. So if you don't set the title match mode to 2, which refers to partial match, it's not going to be able to identify the notepad that has untitled -notepad in the title. So, and that's why you set the title match mode to 2. So once you set up if WinExist untitled notepad, what you're going to do is you're going to create a command line that would run if WinExist if statement is met. So I'm going to go WinActivate untitled notepad, and else make it run. Actually, I've got that line down here, so I'm just going to bring that up. Make it run notepad exe. So if I run this script now and then press start N to launch a notepad, now let's type something out on the notepad, and I'm not going to get out of it. I'll just click on my site again so it goes to the background. Now in theory, if I press start N again, it's going to activate that notepad that I have opened just now, like that, instead of launching a new notepad. If I press start N again, it's just going to activate already active notepad. If I get out and then press start N again, it's going to launch a new notepad. Alright, next up is Snipping Tool, and I use the Snipping Tool a lot, and I presume a lot of other people do too. So I have created a Snipping Tool that a hotkey that launches Snipping Tool by pressing Alt N, and that would be to go run Snipping tool.exe, and it's that simple. So if I go ahead and run this script and then go Alt N, it will launch Snipping Tool. Now notice how it didn't press the new button, so I have to click that manually, and I do not like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a control send command, which basically sends a these two keys, Alt and N, to AutoHotkey class Microsoft Windows Snipper toolbar. And this is not good enough, because if I run it and press Alt N, it's going to fail to send the key, because the line that sends the key doesn't wait for the snipping tool to be ready to receive the key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few lines. I'm going to add first WinWait, which waits for the snipping tool to exist, and then as a safety measure I'm going to sleep for 200 milliseconds, which is pretty much unnoticeable. So if I go ahead and run this and go Alt N, it's going to launch the snipping tool with, you know, the Alt and N sent, so it hits the new icon, so I can take a snippet of something. All right. Okay. So notice how if I do Alt N again, it doesn't do anything, and that's because the snipping tool is already open. And what I can do for that is if I press Alt N now, so it does create the snipping to launch the snipping tool again, and presses that new button so I can take another snippet. And if I do Alt N, it ignores my command. So what I can do now is I can add another line that says process close snipping tool. So this will first, when I launch the hotkey, this will first close the snipping tool and then launch it again, and then wait, and blah blah blah. So if I go ahead and run this script and press Alt N, it does exactly what it did before, and I'm going to take a snippet of somewhere. Now I have this snippet. Before, when I ran the hotkey again, just ignored my command. If I do Alt N again, now it's going to close out of this snipping tool and take another one like this. Okay, but notice how it didn't even bother asking me whether I want to save the existing snippet. So, you know, in order not to lose that data, what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and create another hotkey that uses Control Alt and N instead. And I am going to, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to close this time. Instead of closing the process, I'm going to go Win Close Snipping Tool. Right, and then go wait close Snipping Tool. So basically I sent the command to close the snipping tool and then wait for it to be closed, and then everything else is the same. So I'm going to run snipping tool, wait for it to open, sleep for 200 milliseconds, and control send. And I need a return here. Oops. So if I go ahead and run this script and go, what was it, Control Alt and N, it will launch and hit that new button. So I'll take a snippet of anywhere. Now this time if I launch the hotkey again, what it's going to do is going to try and close out of this existing snipping tool. And when I do that, it will give me a warning like this, and then it's going to wait for me to take an action pretty much. So let's go ahead and run it again. There we go. So it asks me, do you want to save the changes to the snip? If I go yes, then I will save it somewhere, and then it launches the snipping tool again. Okay, let's take another snippet, and then this time I'm just gonna go ahead and say no. I go no. Then it closes out of the old snipping tool and relaunches a new snipping tool and presses the new button. All right. Alrighty, next up is a hotkey that works differently by how many times the keys are pressed. And I've already covered this, so I'm just going to copy the old script and show you in case you've missed it. Okay, so now, okay, so if basically I've given a hotkey of start C in order to run this command, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to count the number of key press count, and then based on the number of key press count, it's going to take different actions. So if the key press count is 1, then it's going to launch calculator and then command and then a Chrome extension, Chrome instance. If I go start C, if I launch the script and I go start C, you get the calculator. While holding down the start key and press the C key twice, you get the command prompt. And then if I go start and press C 3 times in quick succession, I get the Chrome open like this. Okay, next up is WinActivate, and this hotkey, which I'll give a numpad control and numpad 1. This hotkey will activate a chosen window, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add site window and return. So basically what this will do is if I launch the script, if I launch the script and go number pad 1, which you won't notice any change, it's going to activate site. So in order to demonstrate that it is actually running, I've actually closed out of the script. I'm gonna go start and to bring up the notepad, and then while I'm on notepad, I'm going to press control numpad 1, and when I do that, my focus is going to shift to site. So let's go ahead and press control and numpad 1 like that. I can obviously change this to notepad and any other window that you can find and designate as you wish by going to start and Windows Spy, and this is the program that comes with the installation of AutoHotkey that will help you find out what is the class of the window that you want to activate. I have changed it to Notepad, so get out of that and run it, and then press Control 1. It will bring up the Notepad. Okay, let's get out of that. Now next up is creating a draft email. I have an email client which is Outlook 2007, which is archaic, but it still works and I'm still using it because it works. And I have given it a very random hotkey of Control Alt and numpad ed, so the plus sign on your numpad. And what I'm gonna do is it's a run command as well, and I'm going to type out mail too. That is it. And if I press run and go Control Alt and numpad, I get my new draft email like this. Get out of that. Now this works because AutoHotkey thinks this is a hyperlink, and just to demonstrate that it does think that this is a hyperlink, bring up Google Chrome. and then go in the address bar. If I type mail to and a colon, it's going to bring up my draft email like that using my email client. So in this fashion, while you can create a draft email like that, you can also do, if you so wish, https://www.google.com in order to launch a website. So Control Alt and the plus sign will bring up Google for me. Okay. Alright, next up is I have some keys that I have remapped, which uses wheel left. Now wheel left is my mouse has a wheel that if I push the wheel to the left, then it does wheel left. Usually it does nothing, and because of that I just remap the button to browser back button to go back a page while I'm in a browser, and wheel right to do the same, except that it makes it go browser forward, and you don't need a return because this is a single line hotkey. A lot of these can be made into single line hotkeys as well, so you can make it multi-line if you wanted to as well. Now I'm just gonna launch Google Chrome and go to Sydney Morning Herald, and then go into any link, and then click any other link, maybe this. Now if I go wheel left, it will go back a page, wheel right, it will move forward a page like that. So I don't need to, you know, press this button or whatever other, I think it's Alt left and Alt right that does the browser navigation. I can just use my mouse now to just go wheel right to go forward and wheel left to go backwards. Okay, next up is to turn off the monitor. I don't think this will be recorded, but here is the code, and I have given it a star exit. Obviously you can assign any other hotkeys of your choice if you so wish to use this. Let me just type out the code. So basically it sends a message to the PC to turn the monitor off. Obviously it's not going to show, but if I go start exit, it just turned off my monitor. You can try it on your own and see the results. Okay, next up is remapping, another case of remapping the keys like that, but this time what I've done is I've done Alt key and wheel up to send the volume up key, and then wheel down to send volume down key. Now you probably can sort of figure out what this is going to do. If I press Alt and do wheel up, and then it's going to increase my volume, and wheel down is going to decrease my volume, so I don't have to go to my taskbar or press the key that does the volume up and volume down. Okay, the last hotkey for today is the same thing as this, but except it creates a context sensitivity by putting your mouse cursor over your AutoHotkey class shell tray window, which is your taskbar. And when you are there, I'm going to make it so that just sending wheel up and sending wheel down will send the volume up and down. I'm gonna turn off the context sensitivity like that, and go and type out mouse is over, create my function that does that creates a context sensitivity. Mouse get pause, ID, and return when exist when title. I have covered this in my tutorial that talks about context sensitivity, so if you want to figure out how this works, then please go and watch that one. So if I run the script and bring my taskbar over, and then if I go wheel up, it increases my volume, and wheel down, it will decrease my volume. Just notice how if I send the wheel up and down too much in a row, it might give me a warning. And just like that, it gave me a warning. What you need to do when you get this warning is you go to max hotkey per interval in the help file. So let's go have a look. AutoHotkey, max hotkey per interval. And then you just increase the max hotkey per interval. What's the default? I'm not exactly sure. Okay. Oh, it's set to, so by default it's set to 70, so you just increase that. And do I want to continue? Yes, I want to continue, and just add that on top and run it again, and hopefully I won't get that warning again, as long as my hotkey per interval is within 200. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for staying with me for this long, and apologies for the sluggish voice. I am indeed very sleepy. Now, if you want to get a hold of the codes that I have written out today, then you can visit my website at juho-lee.com. Go to archive and go to AutoHotkey. Select the drop down and go to Hotkeys Part 7, some real life use cases of Hotkey, and the codes will be there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.